Yo, guys, welcome to the Blue Podcast with me, Mackers, Tom, and Billy today. How you boys doing?
Pretty good, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Very good, very good. I've now watched Doctor Strange 2 days in a row, and now we're doing our analysis for you guys to watch. Obviously, spoilers ahead. We will have a first impressions, which we're going to try and keep not too spoilery for the people that haven't watched it yet. But if you haven't watched it yet, realistically, what are you doing? Before we get into it, if you do enjoy, please leave a like on this video. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe if you're new around here. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, a little teaser for next weekend. Me and Tom are doing a future Avengers lineup for you guys, which we're going to try and make as good as possible. So you got that to look forward to as well. So yeah, first impressions from you boys. I'll start with Tom.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I saw a lot of mixed reviews going into it, and then as well coming out in terms of, is it a bit too messy? Does it not really fit into the whole MCU based everything's on Earth sort of thing? But no, I really enjoyed it. I thought Sam Raimi's direction was fantastic. Obviously, you get a lot of horror tropes in there, which I'm not afraid to say I jumped out of my skin like 4 times, I think. We won't go into spoilers now, but there's one particular scene where there's like red smoke coming, and that scared me like a lot. So yeah, I really enjoyed that element. My first impression coming out of it was how on Earth was at a 12 and not a 15. I think if you're taking an 11-year-old to that, you just be careful because they might have nightmares for weeks afterwards. And, like, there were some very, very scary moments, but yeah, I think they did a lot well in terms of the fan service as well. Obviously, we'll talk about the cameos later, but there was a lot to really enjoy about the film, and definitely slot straight into the top 5 films for me from the MCU.
Big call from Tom right there. Big call from Tom. What are you thinking, Billy?
Yeah, I'm the same as Tom. Like, I loved it. Well, you want a big call from Tom? Big call from me. Honestly, I preferred it over No Way Home.
Sheesh.
I'm gonna say it. I had more fun with it. No Way Home, like as a film, didn't do as good a job as fan service as this one did. Doctor Strange did. Yeah, like Tom said, the cameos just got my nerd brain going crazy. I thought, yeah, there was like this visually, it was unbelievable. Again, expect Doctor Strange. Like there's a couple of dimension hopping scenes. It really don't go into this film drunk. You'll get motion sick. You will feel ill. Trust me.
Yeah. I did that the first time, so
Oh my God.
Not a good idea. Yeah, trippy, visually amazing, sound design as well. Like the monsters sound amazing. The scores, there are a couple of musical stings in there. Loved it. And yeah, like I said, I was surprised by the number of negative reviews as well. Like I found it to like really. I was engaged the whole time basically. Like there wasn't a time where I was thinking like, oh, how long has it been? Because the 2.5 hours just fly by. Yeah, loved it.
Fair enough. And yeah, my opinion on it was unbelievable. I'd say probably top 5 as well. I agree with Tom. In terms of a movie, like as an actual movie, definitely better than No Way Home. Just the only thing with No Way Home is obviously it got my little boy. I remember watching the old Spider-Mans. That's the only reason that one's really hit me, just because of that nostalgia. But again, with this one as well, though, obviously we'll get into the cameos. There's some certain cameos in the way they're styled, and I was literally, it's too early in the video to say certain words, but yeah, it was very, very good, and yeah, it was I'm very, very happy with it. Again, yeah, visually, sound-wise, there's a fight scene with music, which just sounds incredible, and then that was just like, what? I was just sat there like, what the hell is going on? But I love it. So yeah, I was very pleased with the whole thing, and yeah, top 5 for sure. So lots to look forward to. Now, spoilers for anyone else that hasn't watched it. You've been warned. This is your last warning. We're going to go into a quick overview of the film, quick rundown. Obviously, if there's bits and pieces, we'll say our opinions, but a quick rundown of the movie. But yeah, so obviously it starts with Chavez and the other Doctor Strange, because obviously they've got different names. There's other different Doctor Stranges. Defender Strange.
Yeah, Defender Strange. I was going to say, yeah, that might be easier than other Strange.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously they're getting chased by a demon. Obviously, we find out that was sent by Wanda. Doctor Strange, it turns out in the multiverse, is a bit of a dick, as we find out throughout this movie. Obviously, he decides he's going to steal America Chavez's powers. He doesn't. He just gets stabbed through the heart and dies pretty quickly. But we do get, obviously, that first indication of Chavez's powers and what happens. Then, obviously, Gargantos appears, another Wonder being, which turns out he seemed a bit of a struggle for Doctor Strange and Wong at first. I don't know. I don't know if what you guys thought. I don't know. He seemed to be more of a struggle than I thought he would be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think especially when you go from sort of Infinity War, where Doctor Strange is taking on Thanos with 3 Infinity Stones, and then you go to just like a Lovecraft type of creature where you realistically would be expecting him to take him apart pretty quickly. It was a bit of a surprise, but I just think that's because it was unexpected. Like, he had no real time to prepare or anything like that. I'm assuming that's go on, Billy.
Sorry, I've got to jump in. You do remember that it was sent by Wanda, right? This is after the Westview stuff, so where she started to learn actual witchcraft magic, right? So it was imbued with the runes as well as being interdimensional. So don't forget that probably has a lot to do with it. It's been just souped up to degrees that they just weren't ready for. There, yeah. Also, they also caught them off guard, but realistically, it's been powered up.
Yeah. Also, did you guys like, obviously, Doctor Strange's new ability to seem to summon this creature, like the purple creature with the purple head when he catches the car, and then the purple hands when obviously he stabs Gargantos through the eye. Obviously, that scene where he pulls out Gargantos' eyeball was a very good indication of what was to come. I didn't expect that. I'd expect like he stabs him through the eye, leaves it at that. Nope, just pulls the whole eyeball out.
Yeah, you're gonna get that with Sam Raimi though. Like he didn't pull any punches with the first 3 Spider-Men. Like he was toned down a little bit because he was going for a wider audience. With this one, he's been given like way more visual creative control with regards to like how gory things. Like this is the goriest Marvel movie by a long way.
Yeah, there's more to come as well, which is the great thing.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, like with regards to his early horror stuff, like he did the Evil Dead stuff with Bruce Campbell,
who obviously makes a cameo in this as well.
Yeah. And I've forgotten the other one that he did. Army of the Dead, Army of Darkness. I think that was him. I can't remember. But yeah, he's been known for that kind of thing. His tone fits. I felt the tone fit really well with what he was going for. Yeah,
fair enough. And so yeah, obviously a bit of a taste for us to come with the gore. Obviously we move on. They take her away. They find out everything that's happened. Obviously, Doctor Strange then goes to Wanda because they find out it's witchcraft. Did you expect her to be the villain from the start?
Kind of, right? I think it's kind of assumed by the time you've watched all the trailers, and they do a good job of sort of disguising it a little bit in the trailer. But having watched WandaVision and knowing where the Scarlet Witch and the Darkhold, like you know what's going to happen when she becomes Scarlet Witch and she's learning from the Darkhold, you know that she's going to be a villain. And because they didn't really advertise a main villain in the trailers, besides, I guess, Sinister Strange would be the only one you could say was out and out villainous. It was kind of assumed that it would be Wanda being the enemy. But I was also surprised at how fast she became the villain.
Yeah, that's what surprised me. Sure.
Yeah, there was like maybe 2 minutes of sort of normal conversation between the two of them, and all of a sudden she slips up, mentions America Chavez's name, and all of a sudden she is the villain, and it's revealed. And then she attacks Camotage instantly, and from there on she's just chasing Strange around the multiverse essentially. I was kind of expecting her to become a hero, to be the hero, help Strange out with some side mission or something, and then be unhappy with how Strange dealt with it or something like that, realize her kids are out there and then snap. But no, it's sort of like it kind of did rewrite her arc from WandaVision. That was one complaint that I saw. Not that I have a problem with it, because I think that's just the Darkhold corrupting her. But that was one thing. It was kind of like, okay, we had a TV show where she dealt with the grief and now she can't deal with the grief and she needs her kids back.
Yeah, I think that I can see why that would be a complaint, but the complaint kind of goes away when you realize she found out because of the Darkhold that her kids are out there, and obviously, if she didn't have the Darkhold, she probably would have stayed a hero, would have been absolutely fine. But obviously, when you have the Darkhold and then you see into another universe, and then you have your kids and you're all happy. Interestingly, though, no Viz seems to be in these universes. It just seems to be her and the two kids, which is an interesting point. I think there's a reason for that. I don't know what the reason is yet, but I think there will be a reason for that because, I mean, also he is a cyborg, so it'd be pretty hard to make kids.
Yeah.
I think.
Not
I
in
don't
West-
know the anatomy of a cyborg personally, if I'm going to be honest. But yes, obviously attacks Kamatage. Obliterates Kamatage. Sorry, doesn't attack. Absolutely mullers Kamatage. I did love this. I don't know what you guys thought about the bit where she kind of appears behind the guy, whispers right in his ear. It was very eerie. Kind of everything seemed to go silent. That was very good cinematography, I thought, from Raimi there. Obviously, all goes tits up. She incinerates a guy who's screaming on the floor. Like she chucks people like kilometers away. There's no chances of surviving that. So yeah, I didn't quite expect kind of just mass murder this early in the movie. Obviously, like there's people we knew from previous Doctor Strangers, like the old Chinese-looking beard guy. He goes to get dragged straight through the water, probably dead. And obviously kind of showing her powers in comparison because she just seemed way more powerful than any sorcerer we've ever faced. A question I did want to ask you guys: would she have been more powerful than the previous Sorcerer Supreme?
I'll let Billy take this one because that is a tough question.
Wait, when you say the previous Sorcerer Supreme, do you mean Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme or?
No,
the ancient.
Ancient.
Oh, sorry, the ancient. Oh, right, yeah. Oh God. I don't know, because when you consider the fact that the Ancient One was, in the MCU at least, the Ancient One was taking power from the mirror dimension, right? So that's how she.
Yeah, the dark dimension, I think.
Oh, sorry, that's the one I meant. So she was taking power from the dark dimension, right? So that's two dimensions in one immediately, and then she has complete control over the mirror dimension as well. That's how she breaks out. So if you consider the fact that Wanda could have broke out the mirror dimension anyway, I don't know if the Angel would have taken a different approach in the first place because she may not have understood how Wanda's powers worked and how she could jump in and out as well.
Yeah. The only thing I can say in the Ancient One's, like, what's the word? In the Ancient One's defense is she could see into the future. So that's why in most battles she would always win because she knew what was about to happen, is my only thinking, that she could win there. But again, yeah, even though she may have control of the mirror dimension, we saw that didn't matter because obviously Doctor Strange did try and do something with the mirror dimension and she just walks out of it in a sense.
Yeah.
And then actually uses the mirrors. Obviously, a very horror scene when she comes out of that gold disc. That was just bone snapping and cracking and bending. That was
very reminiscent of It in
yes
the original one when he came out of the fridge. The fridge? No, the hole in the wall.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of that. Yeah, and then she tries to steal Chavez's powers again, and Chavez again opens a portal to Earth 838. Woo! That's a very good universe, which we'll get into very soon. But then, obviously, Wanda does a dream hop into the 838 reality, and then that woman who we saw earlier on, who obviously we were supposed to have a bit of feelings for, even though we've seen her once when she got hit with Wanda's magic, stabs the Darkhold, or so we thought the Darkhold, gets turned to ash again. Little tear coming down, obviously, because you're probably in agonizing pain the entire time. And then we find out about Mount Gwyndagor, I think is how you say it. Yeah, Gwyndagor.
Yep.
which is where Chthon in the comics wrote the Darkhold, but here he also wrote it on stone. And then obviously we find the creatures there as well that are kind of like Chthon lookalikes in a sense, which obviously we find out they aren't as powerful as we thought they might be. So yeah, does anyone else want to take over from reiterating the story?
Well, I think after they head to the mountain, I should say, I won't try and pronounce it because I've not practiced enough. But after they head there, it sort of flashes back to Doctor Strange in the sort of headquarters of the Illuminati, the Baxter Foundation. They let you know. I think when I actually, because obviously we had our suspicions going into the film. We know who's in the Illuminati in the comics. Obviously, the main members not shown were sort of Reed Richards, Iron Man, Black Bolt, and Namor. And obviously, we know Namor's coming in Black Panther 2 with Atlantis versus Wakanda taking place, which should be great. And we knew that we weren't really going to get Iron Man. I think we speculated in the trailer review that a Tom Cruise version of Superior Iron Man would be the greatest thing to ever happen. But I think more realistically, we were going to get Reed Richards and Black Bolt. And just even hearing the Baxter Foundation, obviously, the Baxter building is where the Fantastic Four are based. And it was then that I was starting to be like, okay, right, just get ready because like John Krasinski is about to come through as Reed Richards, hopefully. So we see that we get obviously all the cameos, Captain Carter, Professor X. We get a Maria Rambeau version of Captain Marvel, which I assume is just she flew that plane and shot the the Lightspeed engine rather than Carol Danvers, and that's how that happened. We get Black Bolt as well from the Inhuman show, which I've heard so much surprise about because the Inhuman show was terrible. So
yeah, me and Billy were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, it was so bad. Like I think I watched a couple of episodes and I was just like, this is barely television. The fact that this could be like done by the same team as that did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, which started out really good, and it was just truly awful. But yeah, so obviously Black Bolt's a great character, not done very well in that show. And obviously he was disrespected so badly in this. Like the fact that he's one of the most powerful characters and he was just like, he just blew his own brains out, essentially. That's a lot. And I think after that point, you kind of realize, okay, all of them are going to die. Like if they do that to Black Bolt immediately and then Reed Richards, like what they did to him sort of
turns into cheese strength was Jack's
yeah. And the fact that they did that to him, I was like, okay, they're all going to die. And even seeing after Captain Carter died, again, heavy spoilers here. So please, I hope you haven't got to this point in the video without watching the film. But even when Captain Carter is like sliced in half with her own shield, and you just see the shield dripping with blood, it's like, this is a different kind of film. And following on from that, obviously, we go back to Mount Wundagore. She's dream walking again. Then she comes into the Baxter Foundation. We got to that bit. She come into the Baxter Foundation, she's killed everyone. And then the bit earlier that I was saying, the most terrifying moment of the film for me is when she kills Charles Xavier. I think just the red smoke coming, she's there, but then like snapping his neck and it's like a proper jump scare. I jumped out of my seat. I was terrified at that. Which again is crazy that this film was a 12 in my opinion, because that was a lot for an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old to deal with, like because anyone can go to it with their parents. So yeah, I think they must have just got right up to the line of what they can call a 12 and then went with that.
Yeah, no, I did. It was a very good scene. Should we, before we move on to the rest of the movie, should we touch on Worth 838 quickly and the Illuminati? So obviously, as we said, Mr. Fantastic was there, played by John Krasinski. I always mess up his name. I think I got it right then.
Yep.
That was just pure fan service, obviously. Not saying he's not a good actor and probably should have got the role or whatever, but obviously the fans have been wanting him as Mr. Fantastic for years and years. So obviously to have him there was great. I know you weren't too keen on the suit, Billy. Am I right?
Yeah, it reminded me of like one of those motocross suits. Like the raised rubber bits just didn't sit right with me. I couldn't quite work out why. It's probably because I'm too attached to the original, the 2004 suits. But I get they're trying to do something different, but it didn't sit right with me. It looked a bit like it reminds me of a Deadpool suit as well. So I don't know if they're trying to. They were trying to avoid something with that, but just didn't. I don't know.
What do you think of the suit, Tom?
That's just me.
Well, to be honest, I'm a massive fan of The Office, so John Krasinski even showing up in the first place kind of detracted my attention away from like, the details of the suit. I was more just in complete shock that they'd actually pulled it off and he was there. But I'd actually disagree with you, Billy. I actually think that the suit was quite comic accurate and it looked very real. So I know what you're saying with the sort of the 2004, the Fantastic Four there. That was like very, very latex. If I remember that it was, it looked great in terms of it being film and it looked like a superhero outfit. But this one seemed kind of more realistic. Perhaps like he's had to adapt because obviously the suit has to like stretch with him. So kind of maybe this is more just a realistic version of being able to do that because obviously he's not magic or anything like that. So he's got to find a way for the suit to actually adapt to it.
Obviously the way he turned up through a portal as well looked,
So
in my
cool.
opinion, it looked very. What's the timekeepers? The portal looked kind of timekeepers. Obviously, it was blue.
TVA.
TVA, yeah. It looked kind of like that, and obviously Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards in the comics. Obviously, very, 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 very distant relation.
You just made that connection there, and that actually turned out to be true. That he borrowed his great grandfather's technology to do that. That would be.
I just related that. I mean, I'm a genius.
That's revealed in Quantumania or something like that, or we get 4 years down the line, and that's actually how we got that technology.
Clip this, someone.
You need to save this piece of video, and you can just be heralded as like a prophet of the MCU.
That
would be good.
Why have you done that, Tom?
We'll find out. I'm sure we'll find out. Well, the big thing for me, obviously, yes, we have got Mr. Fantastic, which is amazing, and we're now 22 minutes into the video. I jizzed my pants when he came out.
The kids have got bored now. We can.
We're all good. But for me, it's the connotations of having Franklin Richards in the universe, who is so powerful, can create universes within universes, can create and change reality, can have Galactus as his herald in the comics, which is again bonkers of how powerful he is. The connotations of having him in there is huge, and I think a lot of people won't have realized how big a thing that is. Obviously, I think me and Billy were chatting about it yesterday. He also mentioned how like this is a huge deal.
That could potentially break like everything we know so far because he's basically a stronger version of Wanda when it comes to reality shifting, right? Like Wanda can do stuff like with people, but he can create people.
Yeah, he can create like different versions of himself.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
So the ramifications of what him simply existing means is just it's too much. It's too much right now.
There's a bit in a comic book where he accidentally creates a universe in the palm of his hand when he's a kid.
It's mental, isn't it?
Like this is how powerful he is.
Here's a question: do you actually think they'll do anything with that character in?
Not yet.
Because
not in.
Like to me, that was just a throwaway line, as in like Wanda's got kids. She asked him if he's got kids. Yeah, he has kids, and obviously, like you've got the implications of it being Franklin Richards. But do you actually think in the near future they'll do anything with that character?
So the thing with that is, I think because he's in 838, right? He's not got. I don't think Franklin Richards has anything to do with multiverse yet. Is he?
Not yet,
no. So he's purely an in-universe power. So that universe is now basically screwed because he's lost his dad, right? So he's now only got like maybe half a mentor in his mum, and he's obviously got the family surrounding it, but he's gonna lose it, right? So 838 is now done for. I'd argue that we're never going to 838 again. So so now that if we assuming that Krasinski is going to be in 616 as well, he might be like an earlier version of him. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
So we're not going to see like a fully fledged version. We're going to see it's going to be an origin story. Like, hopefully they don't do it as poorly as the Miles Teller one. But they're going to have to go some other way with it. But he's going to be a scientist. He's probably going to be lifelong friends with Grimm. He might already know Sue Storm. I don't know how they're going to do that, because obviously Krasinski's 40 odd now. You can't really do a young version where he's a up and comer. He has to be a fully fledged scientist, right?
I was thinking they could do like kind of like a Batman Year One kind of thing where they've already got their powers.
But wouldn't that have then been showed up in or wouldn't that have been picked up by Fury or by any of the Avengers?
I mean, potentially, but they hid Captain Marvel for a very long time before she returned, and they've still not really explained where she was that entire time.
They did also hide Captain Marvel in like a intergalactic. She was in space, right? And no one was checking space.
True, but then you could argue that the Fantastic Four have kept themselves after discovering their powers, and they've been acting more as scientists rather than superheroes. And maybe in the year one, like Mackers suggested, this could be a way for them to become superheroes after having tested out their powers, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But we'll move on from obviously the Fantastic Four, because there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah.
Obviously, we get the animated X-Men series version of Charles Xavier to a T as well, like to a T. They have the chair, they have the green suit, they have.
Did you hear the theme tune come on as well?
The theme tune came in. Oh,
so good, so good. And when he uses his powers, it was exactly like in the TV show as well. You saw like the little like lines of thing as they do in the comics. And then he dies.
Almost immediately, yeah.
And his neck gets snapped. Yeah, it's
like Charles Xavier, this massive superpower that we've seen for decades in the X-Men universe. Just 4 minutes of screen time, and Wanda's finished him off.
Again, he got done. I'd argue he got done dirtier than Black Bolt, because so Charles Xavier is the strongest telepath in the universe, and he got owned in brain. He got owned in the mental plane. I don't know what they call it.
Is it the astral plane? I think they were potentially.
I don't know if it'd be the astral, because the astral plane would be magic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's just in the mind space.
The mind. Thank you, mind space. Call it that. So he got messed up in the mind space, which that shouldn't happen, right? I don't know if that's them saying that, because they said they were ready for the dream walking, whatever, and then that was just them being cocky, or.
I think it was just them being cocky. I think that was the whole point.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I could reasonably think of. But like the fact that he got his neck broken in the mind space is just that's not fair.
Well, you thought like there was a chance he was gonna like actually help out, and then it was like that was the kind of the whole tease of the Illuminati, which I think they did quite well. Was your thoughts are okay? They're gonna do well. They're gonna help out, or at least slow her down, or whatever. I don't think anyone came into watching this movie expecting them all to be just murdered. And like we're talking about Captain Marvel as
it's Rambo.
Rambo, yeah.
No. Who's the guy that runs Marvel?
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Feige has even stated in interviews that Captain Marvel is the most powerful being, or most powerful superhero. Yeah. And then obviously this one, who has the same power set, just gets killed, to be honest. And she put up a good fight, but I want to know, do you think maybe Wanda got rid of her powers by the end? Because when she hit that wall, she seemed to hit it with like enough force for when she fell on the ground. Obviously, it was quite bloody, as if she kind of was like a human. Because obviously her mask peeled back, and as she flew away, she didn't have that like energy trail like she normally does.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Exactly that Wanda had found a way to strip her of her powers. I guess because Wanda works like her. I think I saw the actual description of Wanda's powers is she alters probability fields. So it's like 100% probability that this person is going to die, and that's essentially how it works. But then she must have just altered the probability fields to like potentially strip Captain Marvel of her powers. And then because, like you said, like a statue falling on Captain Marvel would not kill Captain Marvel.
No.
Like, it just wouldn't. So I think she's been like reversed back to a human form just to be crushed, essentially, because like you said, the mask stripped back, there was no glow. I think that's what happened.
Fair enough. All right, yeah. So let's move on. Obviously, one last thing on the Illuminati. Do you think we'll obviously see all of them in some form or another again in the MCU?
Not Charles. I don't think we'll see Charles Xavier again in his Patrick Stewart form. I think he's that. No, I think he's done, because he's been going long enough. Because at this point, you're just beating a dead horse for the sake of it, just for the sake of fan service, right? Because he's obviously done really well. X-Men series. He's died. He died in Logan. He then came back to life.
Well.
He died in. Sorry.
He died in The Last Stand as well, didn't he? Against Jean Grey.
He did. He got disintegrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's now died a total of 3 times on screen.
Yeah.
There you go. Like he's just there to make little fans happy, but I think it's time to move on. It's a bit harsh to keep him going. He's also 90 years old, I think, isn't he?
He's very old.
Like Patrick Stewart is an old man, unfortunately. So he can't just keep going like this. I think, it's just time. I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, he's 81.
Oh, not quite 90.
That's still
old to be acting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to see him again. Obviously, I'd be shocked if we don't see Miss Fantastic. What else is there? Captain Carter. Captain Carter's meant to be slated in for What If Series 2, I think.
Yeah, she should be in What If Season 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
We may not necessarily see her for a while as like live action, but she'll be in What If.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see Captain Marvel, Rambo Captain Marvel, or who's the other one?
The only way I think we'll see them, which Tom and I were speaking about before, which we're going to get into kind of in a second. So actually, I'll ask us if we can move on for a second. The MCU, obviously, we find out is Earth 616, which is massive because obviously that's the comic book universe. I don't think there's any implications with that. I don't think, because they're kind of doing like the comic books are a completely separate thing to the MCU in general. Sorry, MCMU now.
Yes.
MCM.
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
Yeah. I took when you said MCMU, I was thinking Multiverse Universe, but then clocked.
Yeah. And the new. Sorry, and the MCM is its whole different thing as well now. So yeah, I just think it's quite. There's not much to it. Obviously, it's just quite cool that they obviously called the MCU, because obviously that's
it's been coming for a while. Like it's strange how it's strange because it was hinted. I think it was hinted at in Thor. I think it was Thor 2 when Dr. Selvig, when he was in the insane asylum, he had his big chalkboard.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure in the middle was 616.
Yeah.
And his whole punching.
I remember that.
And then Mysterio called it 616.
He did.
Oh yes, yeah, of course.
He did.
Although Mysterio would have been lying about that.
Yes.
That's the weird thing. Are
we saying that's just coincidence? And
I think so.
I mean, that's the only thing that I can think of. But like the fact that he's dead on is strange.
I think that has to be coincidence, or one of his many scientist friends knew it, or whatever, or saw.
Speculated, like with Selvig, yeah. Selvig was speculation, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was no like, from what I can remember, there wasn't any interaction between his team and the others, right?
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting point now, obviously, that it has been labeled 3 times now, and one of them is a coincidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very interesting point, but sure something we can probably talk about again in the future if it comes up again. But yeah, the big thing are the incursions, which are caused by realities colliding, which obviously Secret Wars is involved with. There's a massive comic book line where we get a brand new world, in a sense, which is
Like
run
a
by
pocket
by
universe.
Doom.
Yeah, it's called
By
Battle World,
Doom.
isn't it?
There's a scene where Doom literally rips Thanos' spine out from inside of him, which is very, very cool. I mean, if they did that in the MCU, that would just look insane. But obviously, I have to introduce Doom first. But yeah, that storyline is amazing. There was a future video I had a thought of as well. Was what storylines could show up? Like, would we want to show up in What If? And one of them is that. That would be such a cool storyline to show up.
Or would it just be, or could it just be a film on its own?
Yeah, it could just be a standalone.
Or a series. I'd argue it probably better as a series, to be honest, because there's too much to go through.
How much of a high budget series would that have to be, though, Billy? Like, if you think about the actual cast.
I'm not questioning how much it'll cost, because Disney, you know for a fact Disney's going to make obscene amounts of money off this, right? Like, they're not going to. They might as well throw the book at, or give him a blank check, and just see what happens.
Yeah, the thing is, I think with Marvel, with these shows, is they know that they can spend a lot of money on them, because overall, yes, you may not make too much money on that TV show, but overall, more and more people will be watching everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it kind of, and plus Moon Knight was sick, so that helps. But yeah, Tom, you said you did a bit of looking into the incursions. If you want to explain any of that, because obviously you have to do a reading.
Obviously, coming out of the film, I wasn't necessarily an expert on incursions. I didn't know who Charlize Theron's character was when she showed up. So I thought I'd do a little bit of research into it. And obviously, as we know now, she's Clea, who in the comics sort of falls in love with Doctor Strange and they get married. She's like Sorcerer Supreme for the Dark Dimension for a period as well. And essentially, because she comes in and says, like, you've caused an incursion, let's go and deal with it. So what incursions are, as I think you mentioned earlier, Mackers, is where two realities or two universes crash into each other because of somebody's used the Darkhold. I think Reed Richards mentioned in the film that Doctor Strange, by being here, could cause an incursion. So perhaps in the MCU, it's sort of any event that's traveling between universes could potentially cause an incursion. They'll keep it nice and vague like that. And essentially, that is how you would get on Secret Wars. You get to like a multiversal war taking place between the universes and the heroes of those universes trying to protect their own universes. I said the word universe a lot there. But you'd have all the heroes protecting their own reality. And then like multiverse war sort of expands and expands and expands. And then everything sort of crashes. And then you'd get into Secret Wars where, as you say, Max, in the comics, it was Dr. Doom running it all. But potentially here, I think they could use Kang. Because I think Kang's going to be the next big bad. I think, unless he dies in Quantumania, I think Kang will be the next big bad. And I think him operating Battle World and having heroes just fighting each other for his own entertainment, and then them sort of like rising up and taking him out, and then you get like a restart to the MCU sort of thing. I think that could be a way they go down. That's been speculated quite a bit, but just seeing like a Secret Wars event on the big screen, maybe as like I know you said, Billy, perhaps TV show, but I think if they got this amount of characters in, I think there's no way they wouldn't do it as a film. Maybe even Avengers. I think Avengers 4 will get a ground level. Avengers 5 will get a ground level film, but Avengers 6 and 7, I think, doing a Secret Wars Part 1 and 2 or something like that would be.
They could do a Part 1 and Part 2. Ooh,
Part 1, Part 2 could be big.
That would be so good. And they finished the first part with Kang ripping out Thanos' spine. I think that'd be a great ending to Part 1, in my opinion.
Or maybe they play that as like the opening scene, like they did with Thanos in Infinity War against the Hulk, just like as a show of power. Absolutely just obliterate Thanos immediately.
Yeah, it's like you've seen Thanos before; he's powerful, sure, but
exactly.
Kang,
yeah. No, that's very interesting. One of the big things within the incursions, which is why I think they introduced the Illuminati in this. And I have a slight theory that the Illuminati was slightly lying about the way that the incursion was stopped, because obviously an incursion is two realities combining, and normally both realities would get destroyed. But obviously, if you destroy one of the realities, then the other reality, then your one wouldn't be destroyed. And this happens in the comics where the Illuminati destroy another Earth to stop an incursion. So I have a little theory of that as well, where actually the Illuminati destroyed another reality. And yes, Doctor Strange was at fault, but I have a feeling they also may have helped him to fix it to an extent. Obviously, how else would they know that the reality gone?
Yeah.
That was just a little theory from there. But yeah, obviously, we then get the third eye at the end of the movie when everything goes tits up and America Chavez finds the typical thing of she believes in herself so she can suddenly control her powers instantaneously. But then she does play the smart move. I don't know how she wouldn't be stronger than Wanda, because obviously her powers are multiversal rather than universal to an extent. But obviously she shows Wanda her kids. Her kids are scared shitless by her. And then she regrets what she's done, destroys the Darkhold in every universe supposedly, and herself, even though the actress has been signed on for a 7-year deal with Marvel. Spoilers for anyone that thought she was dead. So yeah, and then America is now learning magic at the rebuilt Comatage. And yeah, that's the end of the movie. Also, we thought when Doctor Strange's third eye appears, like Sinister Strange did. In the comics, the third eye comes about by using the Eye of Agamotto, but obviously in this, it's different. It's from using the Darkhold. He seems to have, obviously now post-credit scenes, he seems to have a bit of control over it by the time Clea shows up and says that there's an incursion, because he seems comfortable with the third eye now, which is obviously very interesting. And obviously one of the themes of this movie was that all Doctor Strangers are the same, and they're too cocky, they don't know their limits and stuff like that. But he seemed to be the good one, but obviously he could still have been corrupted by using the Darkhold. So yeah, final thoughts on the movie and the bits and pieces we've looked at. Start with Tom.
Well, yeah, I think you did a great rundown of the film, and like you say, towards the ending, it would have been a great cliffhanger to leave it with, as it was at the end of the film, with the third eye opening, and you thinking like, is he becoming more evil? How's he going to deal with this? But then, like 3-4 minutes later, you get the post credit scene, and it's fine. Like he can live with it now, and he'll use it to his advantage. I think that there'll be more to explore with that, obviously, in terms of him balancing light and dark, in terms of just being a superhero or being influenced by the Darkhold, the third eye. But yeah, I'd have liked to not see him have it under control. I think it was a great cliffhanger ending that Raimi did, but obviously then it kind of just undid itself after that. But yeah, film as a whole, definitely top 5 in the MCU for me. Visually fantastic. Like Billy said, the score was amazing. I think it was Danny Elfman did.
We didn't even touch on the Doctor Strange versus Sinister Strange fight with the music notes.
Oh, that was unbelievable.
That was so good.
So good.
That was so good.
Yeah. Billy, I feel like you've got something to say about this, so I'll let you.
Okay. I just want to say this. I think it's really clever how the film, like, yeah, I get that the America Chavez thing, like, believe in yourself, you can do this kind of thing. It's a bit lame, but it's really interesting how both Doctor Strange films haven't been won on violence. They've been won by like teaching moments. So like in the first one, it was Dormammu come to bargain, right? And he just basically bored Dormammu into submission. And then this one was like, look, you've clearly done wrong. Look at how you've messed up. Please don't do this. So I think that's really interesting how Doctor Strange is still giving back, still like acting on his Hippocratic oath, coming back to the fact he's actually a doctor. It's like he's saving people not by killing them.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's really that's really like interesting way of fixing the story, or not fixing the story, but like saving the day.
Yeah.
I really like that aspect of it. And things, yeah, I think again the end credit scene that's sort of the Marvel machine coming into it. Like you've got to introduce, they now got to introduce, they had to introduce Clear at some point. I assume so. Kevin Feige's probably just told off Sam Raimi just in his office, like, here's a list of things you have to do, and Clear wouldn't have fit into the story any other way apart from an end credit scene. So you had to introduce her. Yeah, it's it undoes a bit of the intrigue of the third eye, but had to be done. And then the interesting is it's interesting how far he's going to go, because in the What If, you've got evil Doctor Strange. I don't know what they've called him.
Strange Supreme.
Strange Supreme.
Okay, thank you. So Strange Supreme is so it's interesting how far he's going to go that direction. If he might end up meeting him and showing him all like the Darkholdy like take-in aspect, where he has like eating demons and stuff like that. I don't know if he's going to go down that direction if he like meets up. I think overall, great film, loved it. Undone a little bit the end credit scene, but if you just look at the movie, no end credit scene, like almost it was brilliant. Like I can't really say much more.
Yeah, that's very true. And as we've literally been saying throughout the whole movie, our whole breakdown and review, there's so many bits and pieces that we all like, we all really love, and what they've done is very, very good. I mean, I think the end credit scene is just an end credit scene. I don't think it's that bad, in my opinion. I've not even touched on the last end credit scene because I mean it was relatively pointless. It was interesting, but it's interesting when she looked at the camera.
Yeah,
but
that was the second time in the movie they did that.
Yeah,
because Wanda looked in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Wanda looked into the camera as well.
I forgot about that.
I think it was in the.
Go on. Sorry, Billy.
I think it was. Yes, sorry. Thanks. It was in the tunnel scene. I think. I was in the tunnel scene where she was like looking around, and she
wasn't it when she first sort of dream walked into a multiverse version of Wanda, and then she it was flashing between.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, that was the second time they did that. So I don't know if that's hinting that we're like Earth 1 or whatever. I just
that would be mad.
That is a hell of a theory, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
Because
we're just a universe without superheroes.
Well, no, that's actually a thing in the comics. That's actually a thing in the comics where we're a universe where obviously we get like it's other universes are melted into ours, and we see them through comic books. Is a storyline in a comic book where there's even one where some of the writers are like gods.
Stanley is the one above all.
And stuff. Yeah, so that's an interesting theory. I don't know if they'll go down that route because it might draw back from what they're trying to do. I guess maybe, but they might do down the line. But and I think that's a good time to kind of our last little piece we want to do is what does this mean for the MCU? Billy, we'll start with you.
I think get me going. Okay, so obviously we've got Fantastic Four coming up in the next few years. I assume John Cena's going to come back. So that's going to be interesting to see how they play that out. I don't think they're going to bring in Nathaniel Richards, Kang, for a while. Well, he's there, but I don't think they're going to like name him as Nathaniel for a long time. You've got the Namor, a part of the Illuminati. I think Doctor Strange is going to set up his own Illuminati in 616. That's my like little theory there, because he now knows of these multiversal threats. Don't know who's going to be part of it, but that's the thing for another time.
That's a video for another time.
Yeah. Apart from that, I mean, America Chavez she's gonna show up. She's gonna pop up every now and then. She might be part of What If as well, if that's multiversal. She could be in part season 2 of that. I could throw theories at the wall all day and see what sticks, but those are my probably my big 3.
Tom?
Billy's. They sounded great. I like the one about the Illuminati on Earth 616 as well, because I hadn't actually considered that myself. But yeah, that would be very cool to see. I think mine are just going forward. Obviously, we've now got the multiversal stuff, but we've also got the sort of the ground level. I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier was as entrenched into just the Earth, like street level stuff, as you can possibly get. And they're going to have a Captain America 4 coming out with those two in it. We've got other stuff like Secret Invasion taking place, which you'd assume is an earthly thing, because the entire thing behind that is that you don't know who's actually human. So I don't think that'll be multiversal. I think that'll be Earth-based. And there's some other massive projects coming out like that I wonder if the MCU will sort of split into two, in terms of you have the ground street level stuff with like the Avengers and stuff like that, and then you have the multiversal threats with perhaps, like Billy was saying, the Illuminati. And then there's sort of like a culmination of Secret Wars or whatever the next big event is, and that's where it sort of joins together. I'm just very much looking forward to like Thor: Love and Thunder, like Fantastic Four, Quantumania, all the Guardians of the Galaxy, all these films coming out that are just, they look so good and they've got so much potential to do well, that I think it's a very good time to be a Marvel fan, because there's so much stuff coming out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good time to be a Marvel fan, and we're all waiting for the one movie that doesn't hit the mark, isn't it? We are waiting for that one movie, and the thing is, if like it's very hard to say which one will it be, because I thought this one could miss the mark. It actually went beyond the mark that I thought it would. So yeah, I'm actually not nervous anymore about a Marvel movie. I think I'm going to go into most of them with a good expectation. Obviously, I'll still try and downplay it, so that when something like this happens, I'll be very excited about it. But in terms of the MCU itself, I think there will be a slight step back from the multiverse, as you said. I think Quantumania will touch on it. Obviously, Loki season 2 will touch on it. Because, well, in theory, the Loki series is the reason that any of Doctor Strange happened, in theory. Because obviously the multiverse wasn't a thing until female Loki, Sylvia, killed He Who Remains. So obviously I think Loki will have a big part to play in the multiverse. So yeah, I've got lots to look forward to, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Anything else, boys? Anything we've missed that we can literally dabble on quickly, or are we all good?
I think we could, like Billy mentioned, we could throw theories at the wall all day and just talk about it forever. But like, we really don't know what's coming. I think we've just got to look to the near future, and Thor: Love and Thunder is the next big one that is coming out.
We'll get a video for, even though I'm away.
We'll have a video for it. We'll have a video for it. But yeah, that looks absolutely fantastic as well.
So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. Let us know your theories down below, and subscribe if you're new around here. We greatly appreciate it. Check out our merch, which I am repping right now, and obviously you have got a Gradient show to look forward to next weekend, roughly next weekend as well. But yeah, cheers, guys, and we'll see you guys